3, and we're going to be starting truth tables. I'm probably going to do 3, and 3, 4 all in one fell swoop because technically they're exactly the same. It's just there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things you have to know out of this. So let's start off with the first truth table. It's a negation. And the negation table is number 1, the easiest of them all, and number 2, the most common to make mistakes on. Isn't that always true? The easiest part of math is usually the one you screw up. But it's just because your focus isn't complete on it. When we do a truth table, on a simple statement P, it's also the only truth table that deals with one letter rather than 2 simple statements. What are the possible truthiness of any statement? A statement is either true or it's false. Remember we were talking about that on Tuesday. So P is either true or it is false. That table lists all the possibilities for every single statement. So that's all the possibilities for P. Now, if I negate P, electronic devices, then if P was true, what would not P be? False. And if P was false, then not P would be true. That's it. If it was true, then it becomes false. If it was false, then it becomes true. I know. So that's a simplistic table. So the more interesting one is what's a conjunction? What word? And. And is the conjunction. So this is going to be working with and the symbol for and is the upside down D. Okay. Now, if we're going to be working with an and, we're going to need 2 simple statements. So I'm going to make up 2 simple statements. I am going to the store. I am going to the bank. And I'm going to go tell my wife, hey, hon, I'm going to the store and I'm going to the bank. So, you know, nice little sentence. So, hon, I'm going to the store and I'm going to the bank. And I need to do a truth table on this. Now, over here, I set it up as just plain old P, and P had, 2 possibilities. It's either true or it's false. That's true about any simple statement. So if I separate this into the 2 simple statements, P and Q, P can be true and false, Q can be true and false, but I have to be really careful now. I'm mixing them together. So if P is true, Q can also be true. If P is false, I'm sorry, wait a minute. If P is true, Q can also be false. And now I want to change the other. P is false, Q could be true. And if P is false, Q could be false. That's all the possible ways of combining a P and a Q being true and false. You can also think of this as kids. If you have 2 kids, they're either both boys, the first one's a boy, the second one's a girl, the first one's a girl, the second one's a boy, or they're both girls. It's all the possible different ways of having 2 children. Flipping coins, heads and tails, same thing. All right, so I told my wife I'm going to the store and I'm going to the bank. And I actually went to both of them. Did I tell her the truth? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this statement would be true. All right, I went to the store, but I didn't go to the bank. False. I lied to her. Seriously, that's what it basically means. I didn't go to the store, but I did go to the bank. Still lied to her. Here's the best one, though. I didn't go to the store and I didn't go to the bank. I went to some bar and started drinking beer, but I definitely lied to her. So the truth table for an and, that would be what's considered the base truth table. It is Only true when
Both are
both
true.
are true. So should you memorize the table?
No.
No. You should memorize that and is only true when
Both are
true. So, only true when both are true. That's what you memorize. And only true when both are true. Okay. Disjunction. What's disjunction mean?
No.
Or.
Or.
Disjunction is or. So this would be the or table, or, and it's up regular old V. I'll use the same two statements. Hun, I'm going to the store or to the bank. Okay. So I set up my little truth table. P, Q, and P or Q. Okay. Now the basic setup for the P and the Q part on the far left is true, true for the P, false, false for the P, and then Q is going to alternate, true, false, true, false. You have to set up the beginning of a table always the same, so your answer is going to correspond to
Yours.
my answer, so they all match up rather nicely. All right, so I told my wife I'm going to the store or I'm going to the bank, and I actually went to both of them. Did I tell her the truth?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the truth. I went to the store, but I didn't go to the bank.
True.
Did I lie to her?
No.
No. Because I used the word or. I went to one or the other or both. I didn't go to the store, but I did go to the bank.
True.
That's true. I went to the bar.
False.
That's false. So, again, this is the base truth table for or, but again, I highly suggest you don't memorize it. Are there anything fancy going on here that I could talk about?
You only tell a lie if you did neither.
You only tell a lie if you did neither. So, or, only false when both are false. Hey, only false when both are false. So far you really only have to memorize the statements at the bottom. You don't have to memorize the entire table. You do need to know the pattern of true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. That's a general setup for two letters, two statements. So let's make up one. That's not a base one.
They don't go to three.
Yes, they do. But we're going to hold off on that until we get used to these truth tables. So, for example, Mary is not home, and George is hungry. A little review of the old stuff. Construct a truth table. Now, is Mary home?
No.
I don't know. I have no clue if she's home or not. See, don't assume that what I've written is true, because it could be false. Is George hungry?
We don't know.
No clue. He could be hungry or he doesn't have to be, but it's either true or it's false.
I got a question.
Go for it.
Like, as far as got similar to last night's homework. Like, when I break that down into P and Q,
Which we're going to.
do I take it and say Mary is not home, or
No.
do I say Mary is home?
Mary is home.
So I was correct. Okay.
Because simple statements do not have
No.
the word
Not.
not.
Okay. So
All right.
all right.
So we're going to separate this into our simple statements, P and Q. P is Mary
Is home.
is home. We're not copying things, we're writing simple statements.
Okay.
And George
Is hungry.
is hungry. All right. Symbolic form of this would be
Squiggly line P.
not P
Upside down V.
and
Q.
Q. All right, and we're going to do a truth table on this. Okay. So the base setup for it is, here's P, here's Q. P is either true, true, or false, false. And Q is true, false, true, false. Thank God you have lines. This becomes really hard on a board because I don't have a line to go horizontal with. It gets worse with 3. All right, first step. This is not a base one, so I can't just jump right to an answer. I have to bring things together. It's the same thing as doing 2 plus 5. What, you just stare at it? Leave it alone? No. You replace 2 plus 5 with 7. Well, the same thing happens with a truth table. You're going to take 2 values and you're going to combine it as a single answer. So when I get to not P, that's a little different than true, true, false, false. What's not P?
False.
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 False?
False.
No, it is not.
True, true.
True, true, false, false becomes false, false.
True, true.
True, true. It becomes the opposite. Remember I said negations are the worst ones that people make mistakes with? Because they forget that it just means change trues to falses and falses to true. What does Q get replaced with?
True, true.
Do you see Q over there?
Oh,
Q over there.
true.
True, false,
False. False.
true,
True.
false,
True.
true,
False.
false. All right. True,
So
false.
it's that was written
True.
the same way.
This is Q. This is Q.
No.
I know, but this is P, which is true, true, false, false. So not P has to be.
False.
False, false, true.
Oh, okay. That doesn't have a
That's all. I wanted to go slow, so we're going slow. Now, I do mine a little bit different than the book. The book does one method. I don't like the book's method. My method is you put in their values underneath them, only 2 at a time, and you combine them with an and. So false, true. True or false?
False.
That's false. False, false. That's false. True, true.
True.
That's true. True, false.
False.
The easier way to do that, instead of doing it one at a time, is to look for the special one. What's the special one?
True, true, true.
Only true when both are true. I would have put in this T in there first, and then just went, well, all the rest of them must be
False.
false. That's the quick way of doing it. And I'll eventually be doing that soon enough. But what's happening here is, you're taking the 2 green columns, you're bringing them together with the and as a single answer. As a single answer. So false and true becomes false. And I put the answer in between them, rather than off to the right like you're used to. So the solution to this truth table is right here. That's the whole answer. False, false, true, false. Ta-da, done. Now, remember I said at the beginning of this chapter, this is the chapter you can get 100 on. Right now you're like, oh, no. But once you get used to this, it's actually kind of easy. It's a pattern, and you just do the same pattern over and over again.
But in the end, in the middle, don't it just go back to Mary is not home and George is hungry?
It doesn't matter what the statement is. This only says, if Mary is home and George is hungry, the statement is false. This statement up here is false. If Mary is home and George is not hungry, the statement is false. If Mary is not home and George is hungry, the statement is true. The original statement.
That's what I just said.
I'm just clearing it up, I guess.
No,
Because I didn't
not
understand
really.
that.
Making it just.
But it's a one instance at a time. It's not a whole answer. It's a what happens in each possibility. What happens in each possibility. All right. How about this one? Now the P and the Q are not changing. I'm still using George and I'm still using Mary. And George is still hungry or not hungry, and Mary is still home or not home. So the P and the Q part of this is not changing, but the statement itself It has changed a lot.
Because it's or.
Because it's or, and also
It is not.
because of this mess up here. It is not true that. So how do I write it is not true that?
It is true that. No,
A tilde
squiggly.
and a parentheses. So that takes care of the it is not true that, and then we just do the rest of it. George is not hungry? Squiggly. Which one is George?
Q.
Q. They can change orders. So George is Q, and Mary is P, and this is Mary is home, so it is P. What goes between them?
V.
A V for or. So here's my statement, and I want to find all the different possible truth values for this statement. So we still have P over here and Q over here. And P is
True, true, false, false.
true, true, false, false. And Q is
False.
Q. Is
True.
true,
False.
false, true, false. That never changes. That stays the same no matter what's happening in the statement.
You just don't like this
Mwah. Where should I start? On the inside. Can I do anything with this tilde on the outside?
No.
Can I do this tilde Q?
Yes.
Yeah, what's not Q?
False.
False, true, false, true.
Why
Why?
you change that one up?
Because it has a tilde in front of it.
That one has a tilde and you got false, false, true, true.
Yeah, tilde P.
The parentheses.
P is true, true, false, false over here, so
Oh,
tilde P
okay.
becomes false, false, true, true.
Okay.
This is tilde Q. Q used to be true, false, false.
So I'm writing
But not
opposite
Q
of it.
becomes false, true, true. Becomes the opposite of what it originally was. What's P?
False, false. True,
What?
true, false.
P.
True, true, false, false.
True, true, false, false. Okay,
Well, what about the other tilde?
we'll get to it. We can't touch it now because you can only work inside parentheses. You can't go outside of them. All right, in the parentheses, between these two blue columns is this green thing, or this green thing, my green marker, is or. What are the key words for or? Only false when? Both are false. So if you go down the two lists, the only time both are false is the third one. So this one is false. The rest of them must be true. Because if you're not false, you must be true. So you get that green answer. Am I done?
No.
No. Because you don't have nobody underneath them. You have to have a TF column underneath every symbol. Every symbol. Not P, or I'm sorry, in this case, not Q is one symbol. You put them together right away. But that tilde is all by himself. And this is where people make mistakes. They ignore him. So what you have to do is you have to take your final answer on the inside, which is this, and you have to negate it.
Just move it over.
Well, move it over, but you have to negate it. So if you were true,
False.
you are now false. If you were true, you're now false. If you were false, you are now true. If you were false, you are now true. If you are true, you are now
False.
So your answer to this problem is this column. False, false, true, false.
Okay, why is the top one in the middle with your green? You have true for the very top. Yes, why is it true?
Because or is only false when both are false. So you go down the blue columns until you hit two F's. That one you mark false. The rest of them must be true because it's only false when both are false. Let's make it worse. I'm just going to give out a statement. Let's say P and not Q, put parentheses around it, or not P and not Q. Leave yourself some room up front there for your P and your Q. Always been putting things to the left. Eventually what's going to happen is you're going to drop the first two things here because you're going to have them memorized and you'll just throw the answers to the right. But until you get used to what P and Q are, I highly suggest you put these two columns in here. So P is
True, true, false, false.
true, true, false, false. Q is
True. False.
true, false,
False.
true, false. Don't change a thing. True, true, false, false, true, false, true, false.
Wait, don't.
I'm not going to say anything except I want to read the English on top, just for the fun of it. If P is still George hungry and Q is still Mary, I'm sorry, P is Mary is home and Q is George is hungry. This would read in English, Mary is home and George is not hungry, or Mary is not home and George is still hungry. Still not hungry. Still not hungry. This sentence makes absolutely no sense, which is perfect, because logic shouldn't make any sense. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is what?
The or.
Can you do the or
I mean,
first?
not the or, I'm sorry.
What do you do in math first?
The
The parentheses. So go to one of the sets of parentheses, the first one. So P is
True, true, false, false.
true, true, false, false. Q is, I'm sorry, not Q is
False.
false, true,
False.
false, true. And I need to look between them to find out what I need to do. Between them is
And.
only
True. When two true.
only true when both are true. So you go down these two columns and you look for two trues. Which happened? The second one. So I put a T here. And then the assumption becomes, if you're not true, you must be
False.
So the rest of them are
False.
false. That way you don't have to look at them each and every single one to come up with an answer.
It seems like or like it's the opposite.
Kinda. I mean, the phrasing's opposite. One's only true when both are true. The other one is only
I'm
false
saying,
when both
like,
are
how you
false.
Set it up like when one is all true, like on or it'd be false.
Don't get too deep on this. Trust me.
Not like that, but it's
I know, but just say only true when both are true, only false when both are false, and let things go where they're going to go. Don't make it difficult.
Just a real quick question. Does it matter which parentheses we choose
Nope.
first?
Nope.
Okay.
You could have done the second one first, but eventually you'd have to go back to the first one before you could put them together.
Okay.
So I just go left to right, but no, it doesn't matter. All right, am I done with this set of parentheses?
That's it.
That's it for this set. Now where do I go?
To the next set.
I have to go to the next set of parentheses before I can do anything else. So in that set of parentheses, not P,
False, false, true, true.
false, false,
True, true.
true, true. Not Q,
False, true, false, true.
false, true, false, true. Between these is
The last one, T.
another and.
Oh.
Only true when both are
True.
true. The last one is true. Notice what color I'm doing it in.
Blue.
Why do you think I'm doing it in blue?
Because we're not finished, because it's one more.
Yeah, but I know, we're going to get an answer for this one, but what am I going to do with this? I got to put it together with that one. And I want them to both be the same
Answer.
color. So, the last one's true, everybody else is false. And I'm going to put these two together, the answer to the left and the answer to the right, to come up with the final answer. So what's between the two blue columns?
F, true, F.
No. What symbol?
Or.
Or.
When you're looking at an or, only
True when both.
Only false.
false when both are false. So the top two are, the blue ones, are both false. So this is false. The third one, both false. So this is false. The rest of them are true. So the answer to this is the last column, which happens to be
False, true.
false, true, false, true.
Or is only false
When both are false. When both are
I
false.
got to remember.
Like pulling teeth.
So that's the main thing, to remember what
The symbols
or
represent
that's
the wording. The wording is much more important than anything else. Well,
if you remember
the
them,
setup.
you'll get the answer.
The setup is extremely important too. If you screw the setup up, the whole problem.
Yeah.
Pattern in the words is what you remember.
Yes.
You got it.
If you remember the words, the rest of it's not that hard.
You
Jay?
remember what
So,
or is false
no matter
and
what,
it's true.
two simple statements you give us. P and Q is always going to be true, true, false, false, and true, false, true, false.
Correct.
No matter
Unless
what.
I give you 3,
Okay.
which
no
is coming
matter what.
eventually.
So they gonna change.
Let's do one more thing.
It'll be another column.
That's what
4,
We gonna use the same table?
same basic sales.
Just like you do.
They don't change very much.
This is section 3-4.
3-4, I think. Which is more truth tables.
You just had to ask.
And before I'm all done, we'll have to go back to a simpler topic, actually, and do what's called a truth value. The problem with truth value is people try to do them like truth tables, and they're similar, but they're done completely different. So let's talk about the final truth tables, which are the conditional and the biconditional, which we'll come up to next. What's the conditional? What's the wording for conditionals?
If and then.
If and then, right? So it's an if, dot, 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 then, dot, 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 symbol,
The arrow.
the arrow. Single arrow pointing to the right. Remember, the symbol goes in place of the then, and there is no symbol for the if. All right, let me give you two simple statements. So simple statement P is my son passed his test, and simple statement Q is I bought my son some ice cream.
There's supposed to be some, but you have.
Son. I bought my son an ice cream.
Okay.
Bought my son some
And ice cream.
and ice cream. Man. You get the idea. I'm going to buy him something. So I tell my son, now remember, leave a little space to the left. If you pass your test, then I will go buy you some ice cream. This is just like the promise I told my wife about going to the store and to the bank. So if I tell my son this, I still want to know if I'm telling him the truth or if I'm breaking, in this case, a contract. So we have the same setup. Over to the left you have P and Q, and P can be true, true, false, false, and Q can be true, false, true, false. Great. Now we've got to be a little bit more cautious of this, and in order of simplistic. If then becomes a little muddy, just a little bit. So my son went and took his test and he passed it, and I actually took him out to have some ice cream. Did I tell him the truth?
Yes.
Did I keep my contract? Yes, that's true. My son passed his test, and I reneged on my offer for ice cream. That's false. I broke the contract. Okay, now here's the weird one. My son did not pass his test, but I still bought him ice cream.
That's false. You didn't pass your test. That's true.
Did I break his contract? Am I going to make him upset?
No.
No. I'm not breaking the contract. I'm rewarding him for something that he didn't do, but I didn't break the contract. So this one actually is
True.
true.
I'm not understanding.
I know, that's the one that happens. Just because he didn't complete what he did, I still rewarded him. Doesn't mean I broke his contract. I just spoiled him.
So you still bought
When you spoil a child, you confuse them because the conditional is what they're going by, and you're rewarding them for something they shouldn't get rewarded for. But you did not break your contract because he's not mad at you. Oh, I'm so mad at you for buying me ice cream, you broke our contract. That ain't gonna happen.
Okay. He, with that line, in the Q, means
If
my
P, then Q.
P.
If P, then Q.
Okay, so my son, if my son passed his test, then I bought my son some ice cream, right? Now, going down to that third row,
Yeah.
P means
If my son did not pass his test, then I bought him ice cream.
So that ain't the original
But what
statement.
that's
No.
Because it's the
It's just the truth of the matter. I'm not saying that's what's happening. He did not pass his test. Therefore, this statement is false. All right? I still bought him ice cream, so this statement is
True.
true. Even though he did not pass his test, I'm still rewarding him. That becomes a
True.
true statement, a true situation. I did not break the contract. No one's getting mad at it.
So the B and Q part really don't matter. It's what we're going by is what the arrow is.
Yes.
Whether or not that's how it went.
Yes. P just represents our contract.
Gotcha.
Now, P could be true or
False.
false. That's that thing going on. All right. He did not pass his test, and I did not give him ice cream.
True.
That's definitely true. I kept the contract. That's the way it's supposed to be kept. Now, normally people think of the contract being kept in the first and the last case. This one in the middle, where it's kept, is just weird. So just remember that this line is false or is true, but it is a spoiled situation. No one's getting upset at it. When you start off with a true and you end with a false, that's the only time you get a false. All the other situations, no matter what the heck is going on, you don't care, are true. So the only one that gives you a false is when it starts with a T and ends with a F. So only false when T arrow F. It's the best way I can say it. If it starts with a T and ends with an F, and conditional is false. All the rest of them are going to be true.
But that's only a statement in conditional.
Conditional statements is the only time that works. If it's a conjunction, it's only false when both are false. If it's only true when both are true. If it's a disjunction, it's only false when both are false. This one is only false when you start with a T and end with a F.
But not backwards.
Definitely not backwards, because that's this situation right here.
Spoiled.
And that one happens to be true.
False.
How about this one then? Not P, arrow, P or not Q. Remember to leave some room off to the left for our trues and falses. I know it's a headache to start this stuff off, but after you get used to it, trust me, most people do very, very good at this. Most people do very good at it. But it does require a little trust. P is true, true, false, false. Q is
True, false.
true, false, true, false. Where should I start?
In the parentheses.
In the parentheses, which starts with the letter P, which happens to be
True, true.
true, true,
False, false.
false, false. And not Q,
False, true.
false, true,
False, true.
false, true. Okay. Between those two columns is what symbol? Or.
Or.
Which one?
Or.
Okay, just making sure.
True, true.
The words that go with or is only
False
false when both are false.
false.
So you go down the list. Both are false in the third position. So this one is false. Everybody else must be
Or means false.
true.
Or is only false when both are false.
Only false when both are false.
So it's false to me.
All right, so my answer here is blue. Where do I go from here?
To the not P.
Now, what color should I make the not P? This is going to be one of my common questions. What color should I make it?
Green. The blue. No,
The blue.
The blue.
Why the blue? Because I'm going to put that column together with
That
this column. So what's not P?
False,
False, true,
true,
true.
False, false, true, true. And I'm going to put the two blue columns together with
Why?
with what symbol?
With the then.
Let's just call it a conditional. It makes life easier.
Conditional.
We're going to put a conditional together with these two blue columns.
So when I got
Changing colors, green.
so the third one will be
Only false when it starts with a T and ends with a
F.
F. So the only time that happens,
Is the
It's
third
right there.
line.
it starts with a T and ends with an F. So this one is
False.
false. Everybody else must be.
True.
Just make sure the TF doesn't show up anywhere else. So the final answer is the last column you do, which is TTFT. TTFT. Woohoo! Aspirin after this class. Alright, one last one, and you already know how to do it. Kind of scary if you think of it that way. The last one, that was a conditional, is the biconditional.
No.
The biconditional, which is if and only if, abbreviated as IFF, and the symbol for it is the double arrow. I've already defined exactly what the biconditional is last class. I said that P double arrow Q is the same thing as P arrow Q and Q arrow P. So if I want to find the truth table for P double arrow Q, I can just find the truth table to what's on the right. So I'm going to put in lines for this one. I'm going to do the truth table for what's on the right. That'll guarantee me the truth table of what's on the left. The answer to it, at least, since these two things are exactly the same. I'm not putting the P and the Q out front for this. Just going to go by memory. What's P?
True.
True, true. False, false. What's Q?
False, true, false.
True,
True,
false,
false,
true,
true,
false.
false.
True, false, true, false. Okay. I'm going to stop there and get an answer for those two. So this is P arrow Q. We're looking for what?
The middle.
What first and what second?
What you
When's a conditional false?
A conditional is false when they have a true at the beginning and a false at the end.
Which happens where?
In the second one.
The second one. So this one is
And-
false. Everybody else must be true. So that's the answer to that parentheses. I got to do the other parentheses. So come over here to the far right. Q.
True, false, true, false.
True, false. True, false. P.
True, true, false.
True, true. False, false. And again, we have that arrow between them, the conditional. What color should I put my answer in?
Blue.
Blue. And we're looking for a T and then an F. The third one. So that's F. Everybody else is true. So we got an answer to the left. We got an answer to the right. And we're going to put them together with. That's not an or. That's an and. And we're going to change it to green. So the and is going to be working with the two blue columns. That blue column and this one. And keywords only.
True. True.
Only true and both are true. The top two are true.
And the bottom one is true.
And the bottom two are true. And the middle two
False.
are going to be false. So the answer to this is true, false, false, true. Yeah, that's a cool pattern. True, false, false, true. So that must be the same answer as over here.
And we gotta do that one.
This one I'm going to do as a proper table.
So we have to do both of them?
No, I don't have to do an answer for this one. The answer to this one on the left is that. Because they're equivalent statements.
So
But,
you
hold on. I need a wording for it. And the answer to it is true, false, false, true. So what kind of fancy wording can I have? Kind of like, only true when both are true, only false when both are false, only false when it starts with a T and ends with an F. What would the wording be for
Only
this one?
true when both are true.
Is that the only time it's true?
Only true when both of them the same.
Oh, when both.
Only true when both of them are the same. Only true when both are the same. In other words, both true or both false. The way I think of a biconditional is this. A positive times a positive is a
True.
positive. A positive times a negative is a
Negative.
A negative times a positive is a
Negative.
and a negative times a negative is a
Positive.
I think of it as signs. If they're the same, it's going to become positive, true. They're different, they're going to become negative,
And that's bad.
false. Not bad. Sometimes false things are good. I didn't die today. That's a good thing. So, with one simple statement, you have a true and a false. You have two possibilities. It's true or a false. I shouldn't use an arrow. What should I use? Let's use a double kind of bar arrow. With two simple statements like P and Q, how many trues and falses do we have? Going down.
2.
Really? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Where you at?
Going down. I'm just talking about if I have two P and a Q, how many lines do I have in my truth table? 4. So if I have a P, a Q, and an R, and a little bit of patterning, if 1 is 2 and 2 is 4, then 3 is going to be I have two choices. It's either going to be 6 or
8.
8. Which one do you think it is?
8.
It's 8. And the best way to think of it is 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. You're just multiplying them by a factor of 2. If we had 4, we'd have how many lines? 16. I'm not going to do 4. We're not going that high. So if there are 8 lines in a 3 simple statement setup, how do they get patterned? So let's say, for instance, I have this statement. And I want to come up with a truth table for it. I already know there's going to be 8 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4,
I was on one of these.
5, 6, 7, 8. Just be thankful you don't have to draw the horizontal lines. I need them though.
We do.
You shouldn't need them. You have them on your paper.
You might not write that big.
Okay, so over here is P, Q, R. It has 8 lines going down. And the only thing that's true is each of the P, Q, and R can only be true or it can be false. But there are 8 possible ways of mixing and matching them. For instance, the way I want to think about it is this. If you just had P, you split it in half and one of them is true and the other one is false. If you had a P and a Q, you split it in half and you get 2 trues and 2 falses. Now that I have 8, it must be 4 trues and 4 falses. That's the P. So P is going to be true, 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 false, 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 false.
So now my Q gonna be false, 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 true, 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 true.
But then you're only mixing the true with a false and a false with a true. I gotta mix and match them pretty good. So to mix up the Q's, there's still gonna be 4 trues and 4 falses. But I need to mix them with half of the trues for the P and half of the trues for the, half of the falses for the P. Yeah, but that doesn't mix them.
True, false, true, false, true, false.
But then what do I use for R?
Sweet mercy, I don't know.
Okay.
Think of it this way. I took 8 and I cut it in half. I took 8 and I cut it in half. Now I have 4 and 4. Take 4 and cut it in
2 and 2.
2 and 2. So Q is going to be true, true,
False,
false, false, true, true, false, false.
Always.
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 Never changes.
That's with 3.
This is with 3. Now R still has 4 trues and 4 falses, but we cut it in half already for the P.
So true,
Or for
false,
the Q.
true, false.
This is the alternating one. True, false, true, false, true, false, true, false.
I'm gonna go to work tonight and be saying that.
You get sick of it. Trust me, you'll get sick of it. So, 8 cuts in half, 4 and 4, cuts in half, 2 and 2, cuts in half, 1 and 1.
Cuts in half.
So where do I start with the table?
Cube.
Recipes.
The cube. Now is that tilde touching the cube?
No.
It's touching the parentheses, so don't worry about him yet. Q is true, true, false, false, true, true, false, false. So that goes here. True, true, false, false, true, true, oops, true, false, false. Hey, if you have that TF symbol, get rid of it.
TL.
You know, you're taking a true-false test and you put this on your paper and the teacher's like, well, I don't know what that is. And you'll be like, oh, what's the answer? Oh, it's false. Oh, that's an F. That's the TF symbol. Don't use that over here. Be really clear what's true and which one is false. You don't want to confuse yourself. What's not R?
False, true, false, true, false, true.
False, true, all the way down.
And this is
Now, here's a clue. If it's just P, Q, and R, they always start with T. If it's a not of something, it's always going to start with an F. Yeah. All right, now between these two, we're looking for an OR. OR is only false when both are false. So just go down the list until you hit 2 F's. Is that the only one that's false?
No, you got
No. There's this one way down here too. So don't just be looking for one of them. Look for all possible, and then turn around and say, oh, the rest of them must be?
True.
Which one?
True.
Okay. So true, 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 true. Yay! That's the answer to my parentheses.
And we're gonna do the other one.
No, I can't go to the other one yet. Why?
Because you said not.
That not sitting up front is
Oh, okay.
begging to be used up. So we have to take this entire green column
And move it to the not.
and negate it. So if you were true, you become.
Oh.
So
If
why
you
are
were
doing
false,
the
you
tilde
become
first instead of the P?
What?
Why are you doing the tilde first instead of the letter P?
Do I put the not P together with the or?
No.
It's too far away. There's two symbols in between them. You can only have
Oh.
one symbol. You're putting an answer together. I mean, mathematically, you should never write things that look like this, because that should make absolutely no sense. You have to take the two signs and bring them together. But there's no way of taking an if-then and putting it together with a not, so you can't do it. So the green one has to come out, has to be negated, and it's going to be false, false, true, false, 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 and then true, and then false finally at the end. This is where people make mistakes. Why? Because their eyes wander, and or they do a double flip, like true to false, false to true, and they'll write T over here. So be really focused. If T goes to F, T goes to F, F goes to T. And keep that focus through 8 lines. Because I've seen people do it for 6 lines, and then the last 2 they screw up because their brain just kind of got tired or something. I don't
Can you
know.
do it again? Because I kind of got off that.
Do what again? Okay, now I'm ready for not P. What color?
Blue. Green.
Blue.
Black.
Blue. Because the last column I did on the right was colored blue. The one on the outside.
Oh, yeah,
Blue.
last one.
Okay.
So the blue is the last column I did here. So this one's going to be blue. Not P is
False.
false,
False.
false,
False.
false,
False.
false,
True.
true, 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 true. Okay. Now between the 2 blue columns, what symbol?
If they
If then. This one right here. Conditional. What am I looking for?
false when it's a true, false.
When it starts with a true and ends with a, this becomes false. Any others?
You got 2 of them.
I got 2 in a row. That one and that one.
You got
And there's
3.
one more at the bottom.
Oh, there's one more at the bottom. There's another one. But that's all of them, right?
Yes.
So the rest of them, oh, I put this in the wrong color. Dang it. I wanted a different color. This one is false. This one is false. This one is false. The rest of them must be true.
That's your answer?
And this final huge column right here
Is your answer.
is my answer. It is the last thing I did up there. Therefore, it has to be the solution to the entire table. But again, this is multiple solutions put into one. It is multiple solutions.
So how will we write that?
TT, leave it just like that and put a star at the bottom saying, that's my answer.
Okay. Okay.
That's a lot of paper.
Oh my gosh, how horrible.
Write smaller.
So if
Right,
that
smaller.
The arrow is one when you look at the T.
Conditional.
Oh, I got something.
TF is an F. TF is an F.
And the other one was.
Or is only true, only false when both are false. Only false when both are false. Whew, I knew this would be a fight. No. We have one last topic to cover. By the way, next class I'm going to be practicing that 8-line truth table more, so this won't be the last time you see it. You'll see it a couple more times before the end of the chapter. But there is one other topic that I worry about, and it's simplistic, but people make it hard, of course. It's called truth value. This is not a truth table.
Is it
Same section.
4?
4 and 3, I think. It's in both of them.
Okay.
But if I ask you to find a truth value, you do not do a truth table. You don't get all of this mess. You get actually like a third of it. A third of it. For instance, if 2 plus 3 equals 6 and 5 divided by 10 is equal to 2, then 4 minus 7 is equal to negative 3.
But 2 plus 3 is not. Oh.
It's a statement. It's not supposed to make
Okay.
sense. I've told you that from the beginning. Logic makes no sense. It doesn't matter. Logic doesn't make sense. What I'm asking for, though, is the whole statement, every little piece of it, put together, become true, or does it become false? Now, be careful. Even though a part of a statement might have a bunch of false statements in it, like this is TFF, but the answer is true, doesn't matter. Parts of it can be false, but the final answer still can be true. So we don't go that direction. Don't think, oh, it's got to be false because there's pieces in it that are false. We don't care about that. Oh, I need something. I'm missing something. What am I missing? What am I missing? A comma. I need a comma someplace. I can't put it here because then it would make absolutely no sense. It has to go after the two and between the then. It's called the natural position.
It's called complex.
It's complex. I have three statements here. A P, a Q, and an R. What's P?
2 plus 3 is 6.
2 plus 3 is equal to 6. Oh, can I change one thing?
No.
You don't have to use your eraser at all. Go to the second equal sign.
Put a line.
Put a not through it.
Okay.
I just want to get that not in there. So, 5 divided by 10 is not equal to 2. How do I write it for Q?
5 divided by 10.
5 divided by 10
Equal to.
is equal to 2. Because in a simple statement, you cannot use the word
Not.
not. So I got to get rid of the little slash. All right, 4 minus 7 equals negative 3. 4 minus 7 equals negative 3. Great. Okay. Let's write this as symbolic form. If 2 plus 3 is equal to 6 becomes P. And
Like this.
Upside down.
upside down V. 5 divided by 10 is not equal to 2.
Squiggly.
Squiggly on
Q.
Q. Then
Arrow.
arrow. 4 minus 7 is equal to negative 3.
R.
R. R. Okay. Do I need anything else?
Parentheses
around
P and the P.
P and not Q, because that comma separates two ideas from a last idea.
Okay.
Okay. Now what's different about this than the ones previous is I've set this up so you can tell me without a doubt, is 2 plus 3 equal to 6?
No.
That must be a false statement. So P is
False.
false. Is 5 divided by 10 equal to 2?
No.
No.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
You all paused there for a second, so I wasn't sure. That one is
False.
false. And 4 minus 7 is equal to negative 3.
True.
That one is true. Okay. So these have definite answers. Where the other ones, like, George is hungry. I didn't know. He could have been, or he could not have been. I don't know. But these are definitely true and or false, without a doubt. So what I can do is I can take those answers and substitute them into this problem. And this is how we're going to do our substitution. This is how I do it for algebra. Since I'm going to do one thing, which is replace all the letters with a bunch of empty sets of parentheses, I'm going to change this parentheses into a bracket. Wherever I see a letter, I'm going to replace it with an emptiness. Because that little emptiness can be either true or it can be false eventually. The other symbols I'm going to leave alone. And, not, but then I hit Q. So I do a little emptiness, and then I end off with a bracket. I still have that arrow, but then R comes around and that must be an emptiness, so I put parentheses. Now the reason I do this is sometimes, and I've seen this happen a lot, especially for this second position, I have seen people go, oh, Q is false, but not false is true, and then they double do it, and they end up putting F here as a final answer, and it really should be true. But if you do this, you see what happens, and you keep all your symbols, and you keep all the order correct, and then you just plug in the substitution. P was false. Q was false. R was
true.
And you don't do any thinking on that step. You just plug them in and let them go.
I never question.
Go for it.
Why is Q false again?
This one?
Yeah.
Because 5 divided by 2 is a half.
10 divided by
I'll write it this way. 5 divided by 10 is that.
Gotcha.
Not 10 divided by 5.
Wow.
They're not commutative.
It was a trick.
All right. The next thing is simplify. I'm still working in parentheses. This is just plain old false. I can't touch the and. I can do not false here.
True.
Not false is true. Arrow, true. So I get rid of those parentheses I introduced and do a little simplification. Now, where do I work first?
In the parentheses,
False and true.
that's false.
That's false because true and is only true when
Both are true.
both are true. So this inside must be false. Arrow off to a true. Now, if false, then true.
It should be then true to F, T to F,
That would make it false. So this one must be
false.
no. T to F is false. So this one must be true.
I'm confused here.
Why is it false right there?
Here, because when you're dealing with and, it's only true when both are true. Are they both true?
T to F
Therefore it's false.
is false.
Okay, so you stop
Yeah. If you have false and true, that must be false. Then when you get to false, then true, the order that we're looking for is T, then F, but this is F, then
We're doing the then.
true.
I'm lost on the bottom.
Which part?
Okay, that's and, so that's false.
Only true and both are true, so
So I
it's
got
false.
false.
Right.
Then I got the,
False, arrow T,
exactly.
which is
And I-
true. Because T, arrow F is the only one that is
False.
false.
Okay. I
So
got
if
it.
it's not false, it must be
True.
true. That's that first
T
truth
to
table
F is
again.
false, not true.
T to F is the only false one.
All right.
And because it's in a parentheses, you gotta.
I gotta do the
simplify.
parentheses first. Order still matters.
That's enough for today.
Is that enough for today? No, it's not.
I agree. Everybody will agree with that.
That's great.
I'll take the whole one.
Let me think for a second. Is this classroom a democracy?
Yeah.
No.
Math is in the
It is a
basic.
dictatorship.
We should
Guess who
have
this
some say
dictator
in what
is?
we pay for.
Dictator. Dictator Kaloran.
And I already don't get top breaks.
What's that?
You don't get breaks.
Brackets are the same thing as parentheses. They're just different shapes. They still work the same as parentheses.
I got my hand broke. Every hour,
The sun is blue if and only if the oceans
Yellow.
are not dry or
Wet.
North Carolina won.
That's a lie.
Oh,
Yes.
Now, this one is really desperate that I put a comma in here, and where I put it changes the meaning of the entire sentence. So where I'm going to put the comma is here.
Oh, wow.
But I could have put it someplace else, I think. No, maybe not. Maybe that's the only place it can go. So, I want to know if this statement is true or if it is false.
So it's a true value?
It's a truth value. So find the truth value of the statement.
I know people in Zoom like, he be killing his board.
Ah, it makes it messy. I gotta clean it though. So, how many simple statements?
Three.
Three. So PQR. And if you want to abbreviate them, that's fine. The sun is blue. Sun, blue. Ocean's dry, right?
Ocean dry.
Because we cannot use the word
No.
not. And finally,
North Carolina won.
hey, NC won. Awesome.
Sorry.
Not last night. They don't know how to guard.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Not the only one.
Is the sun blue?
No.
No, that's false. What color is the sun?
Yellow.
I hope so. Are the oceans dry like a desert?
No.
No, so this is false. Did North Carolina win?
No.
No. That's false.
All lies.
I don't care because I'm a Syracuse fan. Because
That's suppose I didn't watch that
I
game
graduated
and I
from
said
Syracuse.
true.
All right, let's put this in symbolic form. The sun is blue P. If and only if,
Double arrow.
double arrow, the oceans are not dry,
Q. Not Q.
not Q, or
V.
B, North Carolina 1.
R.
Do I need parentheses?
Yes.
Yeah, they have to go here.
Wait.
Because
There's no squiggly in front of the R?
No, because North Carolina 1. See, North Carolina 1, North Carolina 1. They're the same.
So why do we?
I know North Carolina did not win. That's why I have an F here for false. But in the statement, it says North Carolina 1.
Oh, this ain't no trick.
Okay.
Remember, I
In the
could care
statement,
less.
You say oceans
Yeah.
are not dry.
Yeah,
Okay.
oceans are not dry. Okay, so the first thing is
Bracket.
replace all the letters with empty sets of parentheses. All the other symbols kind of just hang out. Only the letters change into blank spaces. Blank spaces. Alright? In the blank spaces, P gets a, well actually they all get F. So this is F. Oops. F. 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 The F-bomb. Alright, so get rid of the parentheses you just put in there by simplifying. Do I need the parentheses around this F? No, so that's just F. We haven't touched the double arrow. Can I deal with the not?
Yes.
Yes, because not false is
True.
true. Or, and then here I can just drop them and this is false. Where do I do my work?
In the parentheses.
In the parentheses. False if and only if true.
True.
False.
False. So keywords for if and only if are
True then false.
only if they're exactly the same. And these are opposites. This is like a negative times a positive is a negative. Or false. And false or for? False or false?
False. False.
Or only false when
Both
both are false. False. So this statement is false.
Should have left that one alone.
Without a doubt.
I got a question.
Not just because they're all started off as false, it's just because of the way the statement is.
How did that turn into false in the parentheses?
Down here? Or up here?
Yes.
Biconditionals. The keywords for biconditional is only true when both are exactly the same. Are these two exactly the same? Nope. So therefore it must be false.
Okay. So